Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies, a podcast where we discuss all things related to the Happier and Happier in Hollywood podcasts.
We're sisters
And super fans
who can't get enough happier.
So we created our own podcast to keep the conversation going.
I'm Malika Amandi, a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a new mom, and an entrepreneur. I'm here with my sister, Azizi Williams.
That's me. I live and work in the LA area. I'm a not-so-new mom, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world.
In this episode, we give an update on our happiness projects revisited, and then I'll share a few hacks for your next visit to the dentist. But first, Azizi has a letter from a listener.
Yes, so we got an email from Diane. She was the listener who first shared with Gretchen and Liz that she'd be spending her birthday month by living a Christmas movie life. Do you remember that, Malika?
Yes, this inspired the whole birthday month.
It was so inspiring, and I immediately wanted to add that to my list of things to do in 2024. And I shared with you all what some of my plans were for my birthday month. And Diane reached out, and so I'm going to read her email to you. So when talking about how the experience was for her, she says, first of all, it was exhausting. We had to do some days of relaxing and watching a movie. I only watch the occasional Hallmark mystery the rest of the year, but we packed in a lot from Thanksgiving to New Year's. Many friends, neighbors, and family members participated in the activities. I have no idea what I'll do this year. And so then she provides the list. I'm going to read it all. It's a lot. I can't believe she did all of this from Thanksgiving to New Year's. Baked cookies, cookie exchange, attended city tree lighting, hosted neighborhood holiday party, watched candy cane making, visited an apple cidery, crisp winter walk along the river, shopping and lunch at the mall, decorated house, took a family Christmas card photo, mailed Christmas cards, that's amazing, Nevada City Victorian Christmas event, watched Charlie Brown Christmas at the Schultz Museum, drove around looking at Christmas lights, made Christmas card display rack, attended neighborhood Christmas parade, played Hallmark movie bingo, holiday lunch with extended family, hosted early Christmas gathering for extended family, made Grammy's peanut butter fudge. I want that recipe, by the way, Diane. Christmas show at a comedy club, hosted cider tasting gathering, made t-shirts and book bags for gifts, made wine bottle crafts and ornaments for neighbors, hosted Christmas dinner for family, took down Christmas tree. Wow. That is a lot of things that she did.
So what stands out to me is that from Thanksgiving to New Year's, that's more than a month. That's a month plus. And there is a lot of hosting. That takes a lot of energy. So kudos to Diane for creating so much merriment for everybody else.
Yes, that was a lot of not only hosting, but planning gatherings and, crafting. And as she said, she included family, friends, neighbors. That was a lot. But reading down that list makes me want the holidays.
You're ready for it again?
That is the perfect recipe for a fantastic holiday season. So maybe my next goal is to just follow Diane's list for the holidays.
That would be a good list. Even if you did half of those things, that would be very fun and cheery.
We can make it a bingo card. That way, we can cross off as we do one of those items.
That's fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Diane, for sharing that list. Kudos to you. Thank you for being an inspiration.
Yes, thank you. Azizi, what happened on Happier?
On Happier, episode 484, Liz and Gretchen talk about an effective method for letting go of bad feelings. They share a listener suggestion to keep connected with loved ones through the weather. And they discuss listeners' follow-up to how to train for a tough transition. On More Happier, Gretchen shares her practical advice for graduates. So listening to the two of them talk about writing down bad feelings and then burning what you wrote down was inspiring to me. And immediately it made me think of how I can incorporate this into our end of school year ritual for the staff and for the teachers, because the end of the school year is, I don't know, minor holiday. It's a moment that begs for some tradition, and there's already a lot of tradition in there, but oftentimes throughout the year, you might be saying, oh, I wish I had done it this way, or I didn't get as far with students as I wanted to. And so having some ritual to kind of release that before going into the summer sounds fantastic.
That's nice. Yeah, I think this made me appreciate rituals conceptually and kind of how
Mm,
useful they are and how we don't have as many as I think we could use in our daily lives. It feels like a more ancient way of being to have a ritual for life's transitions and moments, but I think it's so important. And some people do. I know there's a lot of religious traditions that involve rituals and everything, but just the act of physically doing something with your emotions, is such a
mm,
powerful way of accessing a different part of your psyche or letting go of something, right? And we just don't have a lot of tools for that these days. But I think the exercise they recommended of just like free writing and then burning something. I've done that before. It's been given to me as like a homework assignment from a coach before.
mm,
And they just said destroy it. So you could destroy it anyway. But there's something powerful about fire, but there's also something really powerful about water. And like I've done where you write something, you rip it up, and then you put it into like a bowl of water and watch it dissolve.
mm.
Thinking of the element that kind of mirrors what you want, Do you need to cleanse or do you need to like burn?
That's a funny, that's a funny thing to ask yourself. Do I need to cleanse or do I need to burn? I like that. But you discussing rituals makes me think about a book that I found at your house. This was when we were house sitting for you back when you lived in Silver Lake. I don't know if I told you this or not, but you have a book called like Rituals for Everyday Life or something like that, or Everyday
I
Rituals.
do.
And it's this beautiful picture book that suggests all of these different rituals for different occasions or different feelings. And I was enamored by this book. And then I purchased this book. So I now also have this book because exactly what you said, we don't have a ton of rituals. Certainly, there are rituals related to religion and to holidays and things like that, but just other practices to mark feelings or wants, or I don't know, that there's something there. So I bought this book because I was thinking the same thing, that I could use more rituals.
It's a good one. It's called Rituals for Every Day, and we'll put it in the description. It's a good book.
I think it would make a good graduate gift also. It's a beautiful book and very easy to read. I think that could be a good gift. So for their conversation about weather alerts, I thought this was really clever. For the time, I hadn't associated looking at the weather app to get the time in a particular time zone. That's a great idea. But I already signed up for weather alerts for your area and for Ilea's area when she's at school in Connecticut, because there's something about knowing when a storm is coming or when there's going to be a lot of snow or excessive heat. And I don't know, it makes me feel closer to you guys by getting those alerts.
Yeah, I still have the weather for Pasadena on my phone. I never knew you could get the time there either.
Right.
I would always go to the World Clock app, but it's nice to know that the time is there. I don't know. I just never even considered not having the weather for Pasadena on my phone. It's just kind of fixed.
It's home base. So I signed up for these weather alerts through the New York Times. So they have a feature where they will push out whatever's coming through their feed. And I think they write a little bit about it or something, or if there's a news article about it, they'll connect it. So I do that. Another thing that I did, Malika, that people might want to do is last year we went on this amazing trip to Oahu, Hawaii. And the first night, we were woken up in the middle of the night by this screeching sound that would not stop. Ilea and I were like, we have to figure out what this is. It was kind of unnerving. And I went to, social media to try to figure out, okay, is there news about Oahu or something about this area that we're in? And eventually we found out that it was a false alarm for a tsunami warning. They have these regular tsunami warning tests that usually happen, I
Hmm.
guess, during the day, not in the middle of the night in this way. And so that was reassuring to know, okay, that's what it was. And eventually it stopped. But then, in the process of trying to get to the bottom of it, I ended up signing up for the weather alerts in Oahu. And I keep getting them. And I just never turned it off because every time I get an alert, it kind of reminds me of my trip to Oahu. And it's like, it's a way to remember a vacation spot.
That's the weirdest souvenir I've ever heard of.
souvenir. It's not terrible. Usually it's like, it's just raining a lot or there's a storm. Obviously, it could be terrible. If there's an earthquake, I get an alert that says there's not a tsunami risk. So don't worry about it. But I feel connected to Wahoo through this weather alert system. So maybe when you're on a vacation or getting ready to go somewhere, you might want to turn on the weather alerts
Very
and
creative.
keep them on.
I really enjoyed the conversation around book or tree. So this is like a new know yourself better
Mm.
question, which we're all about. And the question is, are you more of a book person or a tree person? Meaning, kind of, do you feel like your life is a series of chapters in a book? Kind of different things happen, you turn a page, it's a new situation, new job, new place, and you just see your life as a collection of these different kind of chapters? Or do you feel like your life is a tree growing with like different branches that's all kind of connected to the same root and has this kind of singular trajectory?
Are you book or tree?
I think I'm book. And I don't know if it's
Mm.
because I've moved recently, so I feel like I had a blank slate and I got a new life, new baby, new job, it's like page, page, page.
A lot of chapters.
Maybe ask me in 10 years and I'll
It's an every 10-year know yourself better question.
Yeah, today it feels like, oh yeah, I'm totally book. But if you had asked me
Mm.
5 years ago, I would have said tree, probably. So, yes. But it does feel like the nature of the question is that it shouldn't be seasonal, that it's more of like an intrinsic quality. It makes you think. Are you book or tree?
I really struggle with this one because I realized I thought of myself as book and I really want to be book, but I think I'm actually tree. I think I'm actually tree, and that's okay. I don't know why I feel like tree is the boring choice and is not choosing a bigger life. But I do like to feel grounded, literally, in nature, right? I do like to go deep with something. There is a comfort there for me. But I guess I don't want to let go of the idea that maybe I could still be a book at some point. I like the idea of being willing to go in a whole different direction or follow a
Hmm.
whole new path, but I'm not. I have not done that in my
Hmm.
life so far. So I need to recognize that.
Interesting. Well, this kind of phrasing, book or tree, made me think of this road trip game that I learned a while ago called Tree or Stalin, which
What?
so this
That's so random.
and now we depart from the content of Happier podcast.
That's
Nothing,
nothing to do
nothing to
with
do
know
with that.
yourself better.
This just happens to have the word tree in it. It's like a variation of 21 questions. You don't ask 21 questions, but one person will think of something. Anything. It could be a person, it could be a historical figure, it could be an object, it could be some kind of concept. So you think of an idea, and then the first person asks you tree or Stalin. And then you have to decide whether or not your idea is closer to a tree or closer to Joseph Stalin. However, you interpret that, it's totally up to interpretation, and you don't have to justify it. You just have to say one or the other. So, I'm thinking of something, somebody asks tree or Stalin, and then I say tree. And then the next person asks tree or, and they think of something else they want to categorize or compare it to. So, like tree or machine. And then maybe I say machine. So then they go machine or, and you just keep getting more and more
Mm.
narrow in terms of what these categories are. And it takes a while, but usually somebody finally gets it, even if it's an obscure literary character or I don't know, an era in history. It can be maddening. It can be very frustrating. But, that's kind of part of road trip games.
But it always starts with tree or Stalin.
Exactly.
You can play with multiple people and you just take turns.
Yep.
Ah, this is a good one. I think this is party game gold here. I can imagine it. I want to play this with you. When we're together, we have to play this.
Oh,
Like, okay.
well, we're gonna do a road trip from DC back to Massachusetts. So we'll have lots of time.
Oh, we're gonna do a road trip. Yes. Okay, let's do it. Let's write that one down for our summer of soul. Free or Stalin. Done. And Malika, there was a certain point in the episode where I think it was in the Gold Star. Can't remember all the details, but Gretchen was talking about visiting grocery stores in other countries
Yes.
and how exhilarating that can be. And it reminded me when you and I, on our trip to Paris when we were kids, I was a very young adult, you were a kid, and we went to the pharmacy, we went to the drugstore in Paris, and it was like so magical. It was like we were archaeologists, uncovering what is valuable or, what people use in their daily life. I remember buying a few things. It was great.
I think part of it, that was our first international trip together. Maybe we'd gone to Mexico or something, but we were both kind of teenagers. And this was like pre-internet era where you can
That's
really
right.
explore daily life in another culture, like you really had to go there. So we just had no framework for these products in French, and just the way the ads were different. And I love drugstores anyway. Like I could
Mhm.
spend time in CVS here, you know,
You find CVS fascinating?
I just like Walgreens, CVS, any of them. But
Mhm.
it is a really fun thing to do in another country.
I haven't been to Europe since then, actually. That was my last time in Europe, but I wonder if it would have the same impact because it's so global these days. You can find anything anywhere. So I wonder how different they are even today.
Yeah, I went to a drugstore when I was in Montreal. It was pretty much the same as as one
Uh-huh.
here. Like they spoke in French, but it
Mhm.
was about the same in terms of what you could find and how everything was presented.
Interesting. Well, Malika, what happened in Happier in Hollywood?
On Happier in Hollywood, episode 368, Sarah and Liz answer questions from listeners.
Yes, this was a fun episode.
It was.
Sarah went through her whole skincare routine. I loved it. And I have a skincare routine also. My products are all under $20. I would love to share them with you all, but we'll do that in another episode. But I loved hearing about her journey and what she's into these days.
Yes. And I've heard this about toner, that it's like not necessary, which she kind of said people go either way. There's some say you need it, and a lot of people say you don't.
Yeah, I don't use it.
You don't use it.
It's
Oh,
out.
okay. No toner for you.
No toner for me.
I really like the questions around reality shows. And I think a listener was asking about Liz's kind of interest in the housewives and if she could explain it. And I really like reality shows. I've shared before that I can get in too deep, and that I have to cut myself off.
Mhm.
I get in deep because I like it. Yeah, it does something for me, but I do remember watching The Real World the first season, even though I was very
Oh,
small. I just watched
this
whatever you watched.
yes.
Um,
Yes. Second season, though, that's what did it for me. I feel like we've talked about this
I
before,
think so.
and maybe we should revisit it. Maybe I should rewatch The Real World San Francisco. It was
That
amazing.
was a lot going on. These days, the ones that I really enjoy are like creative competition shows like Project Runway or Making the Cut. I'm always up for Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn.
Mm.
Top Chef all the way. I'm like, Chopped, it's such a classic. There's like, I feel like 50 seasons. Such a solid formula. It doesn't matter which. It's so good. It's so good. But I really like those kind of shows. And then The Circle, which is a little bit out of my norm, but I have watched all of the seasons. I'm still watching the current season. The twists, they really pulled me in.
Is that the social like competition show or something?
Yes. You
Mm.
wouldn't think that it would be so fascinating, and it really is. It's been fun.
Those kinds of reality shows tend to be too anxiety producing for me. Like, I don't like to watch people go
Mm,
through hard things, especially the kids. Like, when they have a kids chopped or something. I can't. It's too much. I don't want to see kids get cut. I don't want to see that. But I do like the British baking show. Something
Yes.
that's kind of nice and gentle, nice and soft. Okay, let's take a break. And when we get back, Malika and I will give our Happiness Project Revisited updates.
Azizi, how's your dinner game these days?
Well, Malika, I used to struggle with what to cook for dinner.
You're cooking now?
Okay. Actually, my husband used to struggle with what to make for dinner. I mean, meal planning, grocery lists, yuck. But then we found Prep Dish. It's a weekly meal planning service that tells you exactly what to cook. And now they've partnered with Instacart, so your grocery list becomes a ready-to-go online cart.
Ooh, what's in your cart, Azizi?
All of the Prep Dish ingredients, plus I can add energy drinks, chili crisp, lipstick, whatever, and check out in just a few clicks. Shopping online is so fun. The meals are family-friendly, healthy, and super easy to prep. Dinner is easy to make, and now we look forward to new tasty meals.
Prep Dish is offering our listeners 2 weeks free. Just head to prepdish.com/happierladies to sign up. Again, that's prepdish.com/happierladies.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Okay, we're back with our Happiness Project Revisited update. And we will recap May. The theme was play. And we'll also look ahead to June, where the theme is family. So, Malika, how did May go for you?
May was pretty good. I was more realistic in May about my resolutions. So I had better results because of that.
Hmm.
So one of the goals was to build in some fun into the family trip to Montreal. And I felt like it was very successful. I've talked about that a little bit. We did a food tour. We did another walking tour. And I think just going at all was an adventure, someplace we had never gone before, new things to navigate. And it did remind me how much I love traveling. I think being in a new environment and having a positive experience is very fun. But I do like that feeling of, just experiencing a new culture. That's really energizing to me. So it was great to connect to that. One of my resolutions was to find a way to goof off and kind of channeling my desire to build a mud kitchen, kind of making that a fun quest. And I was able to do that going to some thrift stores. And we actually put the thing together now. Norm got involved. He built a little table and it's a whole zone now, which is fun. So I found some things at thrift stores. I also just kind of sharpened my eyes to find things on corners. And of course, there's always stuff on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. I think this was a specific thing, looking for kitchen supplies, but I think one of my goof off things is just browsing stores. And maybe I've talked about this a little bit, like going to Home Goods and just walking up and down the aisles, or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Target. I try not to go there too much, backfires. But I think I never really saw that as a category of goofing off, but I think it is because I don't have to buy anything even. I just like to look around. And I like watching videos on YouTube of other people looking around in stores. That's very
Yes.
satisfying to me. So I think it's helpful to see that as like a way of having fun and not just a
Mm-hmm.
waste of time.
If it brings you joy, it's like my window shopping online
Right.
and filling up imaginary carts. It feels good. There's something about it that's fun. And yeah, I can imagine going in actual stores and
Yes.
window shopping, the same idea. Now, do you want to define what a mud kitchen is for those who parented a long time ago?
It's just a spot in the backyard. Usually they have like some kind of water source or just a bucket of water and then sand. You make mud pies and mix things. Yes, you don't have to call it a mud kitchen.
I love this term.
It seems to get under your skin though. Like,
A little bit, because you and I did this as kids, but we did not do
oh,
it in a mud kitchen. Like we just had playhouses maybe and some
that's
old
all it
Tupperware.
is.
But the concept that it's an actual kitchen blows my mind.
Well, I love a
Yes.
name for a thing, it just elevates it to have a category and everything.
Well, I'm happy for Indigo, new edition.
One of the goals was to go to trivia, and that we have not done yet. So that is still something I want to do and just was not able to make it work with the timing.
Keep it on the list.
Yeah. How about you, Azizi? How was your May?
May was fantastic. It went very well. It was, my birthday month also. And I talked about some of the things that I was planning on doing for my birthday and just how, it kind of just came together so beautifully to also reinforce opportunities to play. So I planned the trip to Indio just outside of Palm Springs with my family, including my parents, which I loved having them there. My daughters each got to bring a friend, my husband also. And I asked my husband to make me dinner and I asked my daughter to make me a cake. So I was very intentional about what I wanted to do to make that special. So that was more for my birthday and less for play, but it added to a
Mm.
really fun atmosphere. My husband loves to cook, my daughter loves to bake. And so they were playing kind of and doing the things that they loved also. I got my hair done, I got my pedicure. I went for a forest bath, which I talked about in my last episode, which was like playing in nature. I did end up taking a day off, even though I had to
Okay.
work a little bit, but it was a slower pace and I was at home. So it still felt good. I still count it. And one of the things I wanted to do was
Mm.
revive an old hobby. And I had identified coloring books, like actually using coloring books that I had collected over some years, but had never used. And so I purchased markers for the coloring book and I ended up bringing them with us on the trip. So when we were in India, I put out the coloring books and the
Mm.
markers so that anyone could use them while we were there. And a couple of people actually ended up coloring alongside me. And then I discovered that they were actually watercolor markers that you could dip in water. And that just took it up a notch for me. There's something about watercoloring that's so satisfying. There's something sensory about the way the brush glides on the paper and watching the color kind of disperse. And so it
Mm.
was very relaxing, I have to say. And having it be a coloring book takes away the what am I doing here?
Right.
It takes away that fear or worry. I can see how some people might not like that and would want a blank canvas to play with, but this felt accessible, I think is what it felt. And
Mm.
I'm happy to report that I have continued to do it. So when I get home from work, occasionally I will just pull out my coloring book and my markers. They're right next to my office. And yeah, that was very successful.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. So now I'm on the hunt for more coloring books, but yeah, I'm glad that I picked that up again. So, Malika, what's your plan for June?
So June is my birthday month. There's
Yes.
things on the calendar for that, but the theme for June is family. And there's kind of two tracks. One is kind of investing in traditions or creating an annual tradition, or really paying attention to your day to day interactions and trying to not necessarily increase the amount of time you connect with people in your family, but the number of times that you connect with them. And the definition of family is pretty broad. That can be your nuclear family, it can be your chosen family, it can be kind of your friends. So I'm, for the purposes of this month, thinking of our parents and
Mm,
kind of our community in this region, Pioneer Valley, because that's kind of one of our goals for the year. We've kind of built up a lot of acquaintances, but trying to really go deeper with at least a handful of people. And that takes a lot of time. So I would like to send a polo to mommy and daddy once a week. This is something that we have done at different points,
Nice.
but I've kind of fallen off of it. And we do FaceTime pretty regularly with Indigo, which is great, but there's not a lot of time to talk about myself. Like, you know, when the toddler is there, it's really his show. And like, it feels like we kind of get cut off and, have to leave abruptly. And so it's
Yeah.
great. I think it's been fun that, he recognizes
Mm.
them. And so I don't want to stop doing that, but I think I need to make my own effort to connect. And the polos worked really well when had them going before because you don't have to worry about the time zone. That format has been really good for us to be able to share about what's going on in our lives.
Yes, I wanted to remind people that the polos are from the app, the Marco Polo app, and we talked about it a few episodes back if you're curious to learn more about Marco Polos.
So that's one of the resolutions. You and I are going to get to have some sister time in Philadelphia, kind of
Yay!
very serendipitously, professional commitments aligned, and we're able to spend a day together, which that will be fun. And then, so we have this Summer of Soul that's going to be in July, our kind of big family reunion. And I think one of my aims is to get into it. So right now it's feeling mainly like a logistical puzzle, just thinking about being in DC in July and the road trip and all of that. But I think I want to give myself some time this month to really kind of daydream about what I want it to be like and how to really honor that time. I think this is one of those traditions that is more important to some other people in our family than it is to
Okay.
me. That's no secret in our family. I'm going and I want to embrace that and the purpose of it. So that's like, I have to do some kind of self-coaching work or like some inner work,
Mm.
to make that
Mhm.
meaningful. Because I do want to enjoy it and honor the amount of work that went into plan it. And then with the community piece, just really thinking through the weekends. So that's kind of the time when we have to connect with other families. And it just takes kind of thinking through what are we going to do this weekend and who do we want to do it with?
Mhm.
And then, reaching out and all of that. So we kind of started that a little bit in the spring, but I feel like I want to keep reaching out to the same people to establish a deeper connection.
Do it. I remember you saying something about hosting or like
Hmm.
having people over for low key gatherings.
It's still on my radar. I wasn't sure if I should put it in this time or
Okay.
I don't know. There is something that I also recognize, and I think this might be one of the reasons I don't love hosting is that I really like connecting with like one or two people more than like a big group. And I feel like when I'm hosting a larger gathering that I don't actually get to connect with people.
I understand that completely. But if you just host one or two people,
We did host a play date recently. That was impromptu. And I was kind of like, are we ready? Can we do it? Can we do it? And Norm's like, yeah, have them come over. Like, okay. And the kids played in the little mud kitchen zone. And I sliced up some
wow.
apples that were a hit.
Look at you cooking.
Cooking.
That's awesome. You cooked a meal. Or not in the mud kitchen.
No.
For the people at the mud kitchen.
Yes.
That's
What
awesome.
are your plans, Azizi?
Well, some of them overlap with yours, but I realize so in the day-to-day bucket, in that category of familyness, I only have 5 weekends with both of my daughters together this summer. When I was doing my quintile planning, I realized that we have a lot of travel, all three of us, to different places around the same time. And so it just means that we're not going to be all together consistently over the weekend. So I want to do fun things on all of those weekends. And we have just one weekend really in June to do fun things. So we're going to go, of course, to Disney, but then I've planned a trip to IKEA, which is an event. So we're going to go to IKEA. And I think I'll host dinner with mommy and daddy because, again, it's the last weekend
Mm.
before we're not going to see each other for probably a month. So that's all in one
Wow.
weekend I'm planning. But then I will take June to plan out the rest of the summer. And just yesterday, Sinai said, "Can we do s'mores in the backyard?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." But then I want to make sure I calendar it
Mm,
so that it happens. And that's family connection time. So the other thing I want to do is we have a family group chat and it's fun. And people often post pictures like you posted pictures of Montreal and our aunt and uncle post pictures when they're at interesting place for dinner. And so I want to be more intentional about posting. I don't often post to it. I usually just like and,
mhm.
heart other people's posts, but I want to contribute to that, especially as I'm going to be traveling and visiting new places, making sure to send pictures and stay connected. I think everyone likes to get pictures from the
Yeah.
travels and from the interesting things that people are doing. So I'll contribute and I'll nudge my girls to contribute to that as well. And meeting up with Malika in Philadelphia. We have like hours
I
together.
know.
we have we have hours, but we're going to make the most of it. So if you have suggestions of great places to eat in Philadelphia, preferably brunch, please email us. We'd like to know because we're going to brunch together in Philadelphia. So that's the day to day. And in the traditions bucket, I also have planning out the Summer of Soul, our family reunion every other year adventure in a different city. This time it's DC. So, yeah, taking some time to think about outside of the planned activities what I want to do. And Malika, you and I am coalescing around like 2 trips to Massachusetts a year. There's a winter trip and a summer trip. And I think that is kind of how it's going to be. And so thinking about traditions we want to develop around that seasonal activity. So, yeah, I would love to have some like things that we revisit out in Massachusetts together.
Yeah, we should look at the Tanglewood schedule. Like, it might work now that your trip is going to be a little longer.
Ooh, that'd be so much fun. Tanglewood. That would be so much fun. Yes. Look at it. Let me know. I have also put on my calendar the opening ceremony for the Olympics. Why aren't more people talking about this? It's Summer Olympics. It's in Paris, our favorite city. It's going to be in July. It's like July 26th. And there's something about the Olympics that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like nostalgia, growing up watching a bunch of events as a kid. I have zero athletic ability, but I don't know. There's something about people from all over the world coming together that, makes me happy. And the opening ceremony is always like a big extravaganza. So I'm going to be in Massachusetts. We have to watch it together and maybe plan a special dinner or I don't know what.
Okay, we'll work on that.
That's on my calendar and we can talk more about that later. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's everything on my list.
All right, June is going to be bumping.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Our next segment is Happiness Obstacles, where we discuss circumstances that can get in the way of our happiness.
So, Malika, you have some hacks for us.
I do. So recently, I've had to have some dental work done, which,
Mm.
never the thing that makes us happy necessarily, though having nice teeth that are healthy does make us happy, but going to the dentist doesn't make me happy.
No.
And I had to get like a filling replaced and then I had to get it done again. So just a lot of discomfort and things that are not fun. But I went recently and I did a few things differently that I think made it a much better experience. So they're going to be things that I just do from here on out whenever I need to get dental work done. So I thought I would share them in case they're helpful hacks for anyone else gearing up for a longer dental visit.
I'm dying to hear them. I think this is a happiness obstacle that many, many people can relate to, and anything to make that experience more pleasant is worthwhile. So share with
Okay.
us what you have.
So the first piece is to bring headphones and have something queued up. For me, I like a good like comedy podcast, something that's going to really take my focus and give me something to follow. For some reason, just music, it's like my thoughts are going to kind of supersede whatever music I'm listening to, unless it's like a musical soundtrack that's got like a whole narrative thing. So I have listened to Hamilton before at the dentist, and that keeps my attention. But this most recent time, I was listening to a comedy podcast. Just crank it up. I tell the people so they know that I'm going to be listening, and usually they're like, "Oh, great, do your thing." It hasn't been an issue. So
Oh, so they don't have an issue with it. They've appreciated it because I was wondering how it would be received by the dental technicians.
So to be fair, I haven't done this at a cleaning. I've done it when they're like doing work.
Yeah.
So those tend to be longer appointments and they're not necessarily needing to talk to you throughout.
hmm
But when they do, they just kind of tap me and it's fine. So far, the reaction has been very positive from the dental staff. I think they feel good knowing that I'm going to be doing what I need to take care of myself.
I can imagine that listening to
Mm.
like the Calm app or a meditation might be helpful also if you have anxiety. I wonder if they have some specific like dental office meditation. If they
Yeah.
don't, they should. This is an interesting hack.
So part of it, because sometimes you have to wait a long time. So it's nice to listen to something instead of just waiting.
Right.
We all have our phones, but there's something about kind of, I'm already in the story and then this dental appointment starts. It's not like the main event
Mm.
anymore. The thing about the dentist is the sounds, the drilling. Like it's just the worst. It's a
Yeah,
terrible sound. It's very loud. So I think for me, listening to something that was like soothing music, there's a real discordance there that I don't think I could handle. But somehow with it being people talking, it doesn't feel as strange.
I agree.
So that's number one is bring headphones and have something juicy queued up. The second piece is have some kind of weighted blanket or weighted object. So usually I'll have my big heavy purse and usually it's like I hang it up or they put it on the counter. But this time I just held it. I just kept it with me and nobody took it away. It was a comfort, like just having some weight on my body.
hmm
It was just like a little soothing thing. And it's funny because they did some x-rays first and I almost thought to ask them if I could keep the lead.
The blanket, like
Yes,
the vest that they make
yes.
you wear.
I wanted to keep it on, but they took it
That's so
away.
funny. Of course they did. That's funny.
But my purse, it was helpful. And then the third piece was that I kind of on a fluke grabbed this blanket that was in my car, like a little fuzzy, something you might bring on the airplane. But I had that on top of me over my heavy purse. And it was just like a nice sensory thing to hold on to. So this is really the senses, counteracting the touch that's going on in your mouth with something else in your hands, and then like the weight, and then listening to something else. I guess if I was going to really up my game, I could bring essential oils to the mix
Mm.
beforehand, or I don't know. But those three things really made a big difference. And I feel like I'm not excited, but the next time I have to go, I have some tools. So I hope those are helpful. And if you have any other tools for the dentist in particular, I would love to hear them.
This is really helpful. When I have a dentist appointment, I usually just hold my phone and I'm clutching it like for dear life, my phone, and listening to the sounds and, I've not put any thought into is there anything I can do to make myself more comfortable? I don't know if I would go as far as to bring a blanket, maybe a scarf. Maybe
Hmm.
that's the day I wear a big scarf that I could sort of lay out, a heavy scarf. But thinking about the bag, you can even choose a bag
Mhm.
that's more tactile, or you could choose a bag that's going to be soothing while it's on top of you in that moment. So that is definitely something that I can use. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll discuss peaks and valleys. And we are back with peaks and valleys because in life, there are always peaks and valleys. And Azizi, today you are up first with a peak.
Yes. So my peak is that I finished an audiobook in 1 week. It is a record for me. I have never finished a book so fast. Maybe there was one time in graduate school when I had to cram, but mostly it takes me a long time. And this one was interesting because I wanted to read the book Somehow by Anne Lamott, which is going to be the book club book that Gretchen and Liz are going to be covering. And I thought, okay, I want to read it. Let me try to check it out from the library. And somehow through Libby, I got the audiobook, but it said I only had a week. It was like some kind of special skip the line opportunity. And so I was like, oh, a week. Can I do this? And I had to put aside some of my favorite podcasts. Of course, not Happier in Hollywood. Those were in the mix. Never skip those. But I put some of the other ones on pause, and just during my commute, during my, getting ready in the morning when I would typically listen to a podcast or music, I listened to this book and it was lovely. I highly recommend it. It was so inspirational and I did it in a week and I've never done that before. So
Good job.
gold star for me. It is a peak for me. Thank you. Thank you very
I'm
much.
very impressed. That's
Thank you.
wonderful.
What's your valley?
So, my valley is, well, there's a peak element to my valley.
Okay.
The peak side is that I have kind of more remote schedule over the summer for work, which I'm
Mm,
really excited about. And we just started last week. The valley is that I'm realizing like I have to find my work from home flow. Like
mm,
I haven't been working from home multiple days in a really long time. And I just found myself distracted with like all of the domestic things, you know?
mhm,
And I'm in a rhythm where like I can't work from home unless I'm at a coffee shop, which is not working
mhm.
from home. It's working from a coffee shop, which is fine when it's once a
Yeah.
week, but when it's every day, like that can add up.
Mm,
But it's the sense of like, I can't be productive at home because I'm looking at the dishes and this thing over here, and I could do this and this. And so
mhm.
I need to kind of be thoughtful about what the work from home is going to look like. Maybe I take up residence at a library
Oh.
or really carve out a zone at home where I can focus because I don't think it will be sustainable to be flitting around, obviously. But I think the valley is just recognizing, like, oh, I haven't thought about this. Like, I think this is an
Mhm.
issue. Like, I've got to figure out what my new rhythm is going to be. And I don't want to treat a gift like a burden because I'm very excited about this. It's
Right.
just a matter of thinking through what I need. And maybe there's some experimenting that needs to happen too.
Well, it's a great opportunity because once you find a rhythm, this is something you can keep with you for the rest of your time working, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's nice that you have this opportunity to have multiple days in a row to really try things and figure it out. Now, is the challenge about going to the cafe, is it because you spend money while you're there?
I do. I spend money and I eat treats.
Uh-huh. Okay. I get that completely. If you're there, you have to eat
Right.
something and, you're not going to buy a whole lunch, you're going to buy a treat. I get that. I think that the library is a fantastic idea.
Yeah. There's just figuring out because I do have Zoom calls. So it's finding the
Right.
location where that can work. And I
Yeah.
think it'll be a combination of some other space and home, but I just need to map it out.
Your husband works from home also.
He does work from home. He doesn't have these issues that I have
Oh.
with working from home or needing to get out.
Maybe you should talk to him.
Maybe we could do a
Have some tips.
consultation.
Yeah. He might give you some suggestions.
Yes. All right. Well, that brings us to the end. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. What are you going to try this week?
I want to try Trier Stalin. I think I'm going to play with Sinai on
Ooh.
the way to school this week. It's the last week of schools. We have time to give it a shot. Sounds like fun. Malika, what about you?
I am going to work on my June family plan and see if I can put some things in my calendar to increase the chances of following through. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you like us, rate, review, and tell a friend. And don't forget to follow us.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com and tell us something you liked about Happier and Happier in Hollywood this week.
Our show was edited by Magnus Bjorgum, and our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie.
And we also want to give a special shout out to Gretchen Rubin, Liz Kraft, and Sarah Fain for inspiring our conversation each week.
You can find us on Instagram at happierladies and on the web at happierladies.com. All right, Azizi.
Have a happier week, Malika.
Have a happier week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi. Welcome to Happier. Oh, sorry. I forgot to put my pop filter on. It's always something. I'm like, why is it so easy to talk into the microphone?
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.